Hi guys, Rando Gamer here with the next session of Starfinder. So this one is colloquially Session 29, Part B, mostly just because we sort of split Session 29 into two different groups so that we could get the party all back onto the same sort of place in the story. Specifically, it's getting Glarb and Nea back into the story since they had been out of it for a little bit. So it's just them this session, but it's good to get them caught up. So there's a huge recap. So for those of you that haven't watched my videos in a while, or this happens to be your first one, you're going to get a pretty massive lore dump as far as what's happened over the last year or so in campaign. Um, After that, they get caught up with the ship and have their first shift defending the shipyards and have the unfortunate luck of encountering one of the bigger threats to the facility and have to work their way through it. But overall, a great session for getting them caught up and just some really good RP for some players that haven't been able to play in a while. So if you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all my content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, here is Souls of Steel, Session 29, Part B.
Well, thank you guys for joining. We're calling this Session 29 Part B. While you guys are going to take up a little bit different timeline as far as um, what the events cover today, you guys are just on an opposite shift of the rest of the party. Um, so it's happening concurrently. It's just you guys were on a separate 12-hour shift than them. But before we get there, we'll get you caught up. So I'm showing the last session you guys were at was the fight with the Harvester, which, if you guys don't recall, the Harvester was a swarm ship. Specifically, the Harvester was the ship. It was basically merged with the engine of this swarm vessel, and things got pretty dicey. The combat itself wasn't too crazy. You guys actually came out of there relatively unscathed. A few members had gotten affected by like the mental abilities of the Harvester, but ultimately you guys kind of made pretty quick work of it. The downside was the Harvester wasn't going to go quietly and basically created a self-destruct sequence inside the ship, uh, with the main issue being that the way that they travel is via a void engine, and it was going to create a miniature black hole. So you guys had to quickly make your way off the ship, um, and just barely manage to get outside of the gravity well and link back up with the OMAG and the rest of the crew. At which point, you guys had had a little bit of a downtime. So this would be pretty much everything following that up to um, now. You guys, as a group, had made your way back to Absalon Station to kind of recoup a little bit and find your way forward. Um, there was some discussion leading up to this with potentially trying to overthrow uh, the PWC, specifically the Inner Circle, but you guys didn't have a whole lot of leads on the Inner Circle yet. Um, and you guys had done research there. Specifically, John was kind of leading the front on this one. Um, he managed to have a meeting. If I recall, he'd actually gone down to the Black Market District on Absalon Station and had done a handful of like research down there, and then had come back and filled in the rest of the party. At which point they had kind of had a follow-on conversation with, oh goodness, I'm blanking on her name right now. There she is, Premix Kumara Mellon Cruz, where she had basically confirmed a bunch of the information of, yes, the Inner Circle does exist, and who was part of the Inner Circle, which uh, was made up of Asher Vox, who is a Solarian from the Sun, uh, or he's the representative of the Sun, but he's the leader of the Inner Circle. There was Isuda, um, who is the representative from Liavara. There was also Jade Doe, which was the representative from Avalon. and she's an android. Isuda, breaking on the race right now. They're from the gas giant planet, so they're kind of like this like ethereal sort of looking creature, and I can post pictures of all of them here in a minute. There was Lyra Quintar, who was the representative from Eox, and there was Ronan Steele, who was the representative from Akaton. Those 5 members were the primary ones in the inner circle, and were kind of running a shadow government behind the PWC. So they're part of the PWC, but then ran their own organization that kind of like sometimes undermined what the PWC was doing, and they're the ones that had been pushing really, really hard on the not telling anybody about the swarm. Um, the so your image here is this first one's Asher Vox. Like I said, he's a human Solarian.
Ooh.
This is Isuda. Or
Ooh.
Isudu.
Reminds me of a creature. There's certain I can't. I'm blanking on their race name too, but they look like these little like this very similar larger bodies with kind of hanging down arms that they walk on. This one's interesting though. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, and they are a witch warper. Their race is specifically called Dreamers,
Oh.
which is like an offshoot of the uh, Barathas, which are known to exist on um, Liavara, which is the gas giant planet. Jade Doe is an android operative, and this is what she looks like. And that's Jade Doe.
I like her. I like her name too.
This one is Leah Quintar, who is a mystic. But what makes this one interesting is she's from Eox, which is the dead planet, which has a lot of necromancers on it.
Oh.
And then Ronan Steele is a soldier, and he's in an Escasteti, which is kind of like a dinosaur sort of race. It's similar to lizard folks in a lot of ways. Um, same sort of like kind of like brutish culture.
Makes
After
sense.
kind of getting some of that information, um, Premex Kumar Melacruz kind of basically says that her hands are sort of tied, just with her position. Like while they know most of the members of the inner circle, they are so tight knit and it pulls so much weight as far as like the PWC court goes that even knowing them doesn't mean you can really do anything about it. And while sometimes their stuff is kind of sketchy, there's not the best interest of the PWC is usually in mind. Um, Obviously, keeping the swarm hidden wasn't really agreed upon, but they couldn't ever. They never had enough votes to release it to the public, is more or less what you guys had learned. Following this, there was some additional research in trying to get more information on the swarm invasion, and even kind of going to the technomancery school and everything, they couldn't pull on any more kind of like in public knowledge. There was some stuff that kind of indicated the swarm was invading all the planets. So one of the big giveaways on Castrovel was that like there was massive droughts that weren't like due to the seasons. Even if it was summer, like the droughts were abnormally crazy, which made sense because as you guys had learned, the swarm effectively sucks the life out of the planet with their machines. Like they had machines into the soil of the earth and were sucking the life out of it. Um, so they had seen basically hot spots on all of the planets in the PWC with that same sort of thing happening, um, kind of confirming that there's things that indicate the swarm is invading, but it's still not public knowledge yet. At this point, I can't remember if Delilah part of the group at this point before you guys had left.
That's Riley's character,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Yes, I
okay.
believe we met Delilah.
So we hit a little bit more on her back history, specifically her uh, time in the black market. So they kind of pulled on her to do some additional stuff because John was basically wanting to get more dirt, and while they were doing stuff down there using her back history, they ended up kind of getting in with a quest giver essentially, so like a black market dealer, and they end up getting 3 different quests that are basically being issued by the Inner Circle. One of which was to spy on Kumara Millicruz, one to transport a message to uh, T's old second in command, who is now the leader of the Free Captains, which is not that one. Goodness, Notley is her last name. Goodness. Going through my slide deck here and I can't find her. Levada Asteray Notley, um, which was interesting only because it was an Inner Circle quest. And then the last one was so secret that if they wanted to even hear about the quest, they had to take a drug that would basically kill them if they revealed any of the details of the quest to anybody else. Basically, it was like inside the cocktail was nanites that would activate if you like started to reveal information on it to someone that wasn't privy to it. Which T tried to talk his way out of them actually taking the drink, but ultimately came to the conclusion of like they had to in order to learn more. Um, at which point they learned that the Inner Circle had been secretly building ships out on uh, Octurne, which is the effectively the Pluto of this solar system. Uh, there's a lot of sketchy stuff that happens on Octurne. Glarb, you would have been familiar with the Battle of Octurne, which is the one where T's ship had been like his suicidal run, and they had basically had to crash land on the planet and defend themselves for quite a while before the Free Captains were able to rescue them. But there's a lot of nightmare type creatures prevalent on the planet. Um, Essentially, they have a shipyard built on the planet of Octurne where they're building all these ships for the coming invasion, and they're needing a security detail to defend the shipyards until they can finish all their construction. Basically, they were anticipating about a 2-month gig, but the credits were pretty hefty on this. Um, and specifically, they learned that Ronan Steele was running the shipyard, so one of the Inner Circle members would be out there. Um, the group ends up. Oh, and the other quest, this one wasn't specifically the Inner Circle that was giving it, but I guess wind had been. Someone had caught wind that Rejuvenor had been down in the Spire ages ago practicing on his soul transfer spell, and his journal of detailing how to accomplish that spell was down there, and the quest was to go retrieve it. So they end up taking all of the quests with the Kumara one, or maybe they didn't take the Kumara one. I can't remember. They either didn't take it or they were going to warn her about it, which I think is what happened. Uh, the Rejuvenor quest line, they ended up sending the Free Captains NPCs down there to retrieve the journal, um, which ultimately led to them getting the journal, and Rejuvenor was part of that crew as well. The downside was another crew had been tasked with the quest as well, and they ended up running into them on the way out and had to fight their way out. Because they didn't accept the quest, but they went to go steal the journal before someone else took the quest. So they more or less came to the conclusion that they're probably going to have to be in hiding for a little while because that there was at least one survivor of that other group that could call them by name. So it's known if they were to link Rejuvenor and these free captains members back to you guys, it could potentially be damaging and have whoever was giving this quest come after you guys. So potentially assassins um, from the black market interested in you guys in the future. Uh,
Not really.
yeah. Uh, T had gone up to talk with Genora, who was a mystic, who happened to be on Absalon Station while you guys were there. Specifically, he was trying to kind of do some soul searching on his whole Karen form thing because he's kind of had this like split personality stuff going on, and he wanted to figure out if it was a byproduct of his mystic abilities or what. And essentially, what it came down to is he has developed a split personality prior to developing any of his mystic abilities, and that split personality is taking over in his Karen form because the Karen form tends to pull on like your most physical traits, and that personality is the more commanding of his physical traits. So it basically told him that he can. The best way would be to go on a pilgrimage and like kind of reconcile his two personalities, which kind of gave him a side quest as far as RP stuff goes. But this ended up leading into the group kind of starting to make their way to Levada for that first quest of delivering the message. Also, before they left Absalon Station, we did have another player join. That was Elite, who is another android soldier, but he went a more bulky build. So he walks around in power armor during like combat situations, and is gone almost exclusively tank as far as like his build as a soldier goes. Um, and he has similar things to John, and that some of his memories are locked. His has to do with like uh, part of his files are corrupted, so he can't access part of his memories. Um, so he's been a robot for hire, essentially for the last little bit. But you guys have made your way out to uh, Asteray, where you had to fight off a handful or more swarm ships whenever you got into the Dysphoria, which is the asteroid belt here in the Pact Worlds. Um, they come in to help kind of clean up a little bit as you guys kind of link up. And you catch up a little bit, and then she kind of like locks down the room you guys are in to prevent any secrets kind of being given out to other people. And she ends up playing the message in front of you guys where uh, Asher Vox, so the leader of the inner circle, is basically asking Levada to join with them for a hefty amount. It was like 500,000 credits per ship she provides to assist with the invasion. Um, and you guys had learned that the symbol of the inner circle is basically it's a sword and then one of those half shields. So it looks like an eye with a C essentially. Um, and she kind of looks at the group to make the call on whether or not she should send her ships out there, um, which the group is kind of like trying to figure out how in with the inner circle she is, and kind of in the most priority sort of answer is like whatever's best for the free captains is what she's going to do essentially, um, which T could respect, but like it's where Raya started to really have some inter-party conflict with T again because she started to realize that John, T, Glarb, Elite are all these like mercenary type characters that while they might care about like their crew, their biggest driving factor is the financial gain or um, just what's in it for them sort of thing. Because ultimately they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, we would love for you to come out and everything like that. Which ultimately she decides to kind of assist. Um, and as the party's kind of like making their way back to their ship to make their trip to Octurne, she hands off a device to T, which basically detailed that she already knows that the Inner Circle plans to kill the party once it looks like they're going. Like if at any point the Pact Worlds looks like it's going to win the fight with the Swarm, they're going to turn on you guys. So she recommends staying close to the free captains. They won't sacrifice themselves, but they won't just let T go under. And there was a private conversation where T kind of like loosely gets pulled back into the command structure, and depending on how things go, um, he could potentially become another admiral again, and have a. So she's basically willing to give a couple more ships under T's control in this upcoming battle in space. But following this, you guys had kind of like changed tactics a little bit. Instead of going straight to the shipyards, you wanted to meet with Karsai, the Iker King, who is kind of like the unofficial leader of Octurne. Octurne's such a weird planet because it doesn't really have society. It's made up of all these like nightmare creatures. The most lucid of these is Karsai, who is an Orokoron who's through whatever means has developed a level of like sentience and everything that he kind of controls portions of the planet. And basically, you're wanting the party's mindset was trying to get as many allies before they put themselves in a situation where they're under the Inner Circle's control. Um, so you guys meet there, and even just landing on the planet, T and some of the other free captains members that were part of the fall of the Conquistador were kind of struggling just because the planet itself looks. If you guys have played like Diablo, it's like those levels where it's like fleshy and like there's like yeah, so there's like the mountains look like massive tumors. There's black ichor flowing for rivers, all of that type of stuff. But you would come into the Black Citadel there. I met with the Ichor King, who's basically, I think I've got an image of him as well. Yes. But effectively, he was consuming this ichor, and in his citadel here, uh, there's like parts of this ichor just kind of flowing through it so that he could basically refill his cup at any given time. And the conversation with him was very, very confusing. Um, it had been rumored that Octurne is effectively just it's an old one waiting to hatch, so it's like the planet itself is an embryo, and the Karsai kind of alludes to that's the truth, but it's hard to follow specifically just because he's kind of like just you can tell that the ichor he's consuming is a type of narcotic, um, or a hallucinogenic sort of beverage. Uh, the more he talks, it seems that it's given him a little bit of like precog abilities where he can see past, present, and future kind of interchangeably. Um, and effectively, he confirmed some things that T had been dealing with is that this X personality and T are the same, and that X is always trying to protect T, kind of like a Hulk sort of personality type subset. Um, and that once he comes to term with that X is him, he will be better for it. Um, they the party manages to form an alliance, but it's based off of them not wanting to do anything to Karsai and um, getting him to at least concede that the swarm is a threat. Now, he doesn't view the swarm as a threat to his planet because nothing can survive on this planet in that regard. He said in the during the gap, the swarm had tried to invade Octurne, and they quickly realized that it's not a viable place, which is why there's no swarm on the planet currently. Um, he is aware of the swarm vessels in space, but they're not a concern to him because they won't come down to the planet. Uh, and his main goal is just making sure this old one hatches. But based off of this loose alliance, he does kind of provide some assistance, like clearing out part of the air for you guys to make your way over to the shipyards. And he kind of given you a loose, um, none of the creatures under his control would attack, but he did say his range is only so wide, and anything outside of that range, they're basically mindless creatures, and they will attack what they will. He made it sound like he might be able to assist, at least with warning the party, but like didn't hold out any promises. Um, his conversation on the Icar, though, did entice Delilah a little bit, so she ends up dabbling in it. Um, at which point, she basically like goes on a trip and sees a little bit. There are different facets that are kind of like hard for her to follow, um, but she basically saw a little bit of her past, with her family kind of giving her up, potential future with a creature feeding off of light. Um, and when she comes to, she doesn't fully understand everything that she saw, but kind of like makes the decision that she's going to continue microdosing on this over time to see what happens. Um, yeah, right. Why not?
Why not? Like, I was sitting here thinking if Nea was in this position, she probably would have done the same thing.
Meta-wise, basically, this started her on the path of multi-classing into the precog class, which
Hell
is all
yeah.
time-based spellcasting. So there's, you guys experienced this a little bit with the Harvester, where like one of his abilities basically forces you to live your entire life forward before like you reset, basically just causing a lot of agonizing pain. Of yeah. Um, but
That
there's
sounds jarring.
other cool things of like being able to like see the potential future and then affect it, so it's like you see them landing an attack, so you basically force them to take a -4 on their roll so that their attack actually misses, or little quirky things like that. um, After landing at the compound, which was a huge structure, like, I think we've described it as like 20 feet thick, like steel. Um, and then there's like laser wires along the top, protecting it, and pretty tall too. So it's something that like you couldn't jump over, but wide enough where they're working on like 6 or 7 ships at any given time, um, and definitely like military sort of like aesthetic to it, where there's not much here. So like after you guys had landed, you meet Ronan, where a couple of the members were able to learn a lot about the culture of his species. The big takeaway was in the Isketi social structure, females are usually the ones to run society, so it's a matriarchy. Um, the During their adolescence, um, once they go into like their breeding stage, they will go mindless if they don't actually mate. Um, and they will basically get shunned by society if they get to that, because they're basically mindless creatures. Like they'll like bulk up massively and like just kind of like reavers, if you've seen like Firefly, where they're just always attacking everything as soon as it comes and consuming whatever they can. Uh, and after the mating phase, males will basically become like wet nurses. Like the only thing that they do at that point is take care of the children. Like nothing in their nature allows them to do anything outside of that. Whereas the females kind of go in a couple different uh, vectors, where they either are able to just go back to being an individual and trying to further society, or they're kind of like the leaders of their um, respective like broods. Um, Based off of this, you guys got the impression that Ronan Steele must be one hell of a personality, because he is a representative of the planets, and has kind of wiggled his way into the inner circle at such a young age. And based off of what you assume his age is, he's probably coming very close to his brooding stage, um, which could be really detrimental because there's no other Esketis on, uh, in the facility, so that could be bad. Or it's he will probably have to retire from being a representative here shortly. Outside of that, you guys had kind of gotten the quick tour of the compound, uh, and then had your first shift. That first shift, he made a point of telling you that like he would join you on this one, but after this, you guys would kind of just have to flow into the routine. He recommended any time that you're not on shift, staying on your ship, just because of the environment here and what it can do to your mind if you spend too long out in the open. And also that your ship probably had better amenities than what you're going to find in the compound itself, anyways. But before you guys had gone out to the perimeter of the facility here, he had made a stop at the armory and told you to pick up this weapon every single time. Where you got this huge um, light caster, which is basically shooting canisters of light that are like this big. So it's like a thunk sort of weapon. And it basically, when they explode, it's like this mini sun basically explodes in it. He didn't elaborate on what it's for when he grabbed it, um, but told you that if the big creature comes, that you're going to want this. Uh,
Only if it's the big one. They're all big.
well,
big one.
and specifically, only if the big one comes because you're limited on how many rounds are in this weapon, and it's 50,000 credits a round.
Oh shit! Can't waste them. No, okay, the really
And the
big one.
shipments to Octurne aren't consistent, so like there's no guarantee of when you'll be able to restock the weapon. The first part of the shift was more or less uneventful, but by the second half, all of a sudden, um, Karsai reaches out to the group, kind of like telepathically, and warns the group that it's coming and that he can't stop it, and that you guys needed to fight for your lives because they're definitely at stake. Uh, at which point, a couple of members are able to react, but Ronan and Raya, and I think one other one, end up getting hit with beams of light that shoot out, which knocks Ronan to his knees because it knocks the wind out of him, and it almost put Raya into her health points off the one shot. Um, as the creature continued to move forward, it kind of like had this shimmery sort of structure to it, and I can't remember who it was, but they were able to remember being told about this creature, and it kind of made sense why this light caster was probably being brought, because there was a Briarvath, which is the light consuming creature. So basically, this is a creature that feeds on light. The combat ended up going in the group's favor, but it took 3 shells from this light caster to finally force it away. What they had found is that light attack only works in pure darkness, so as soon as the party realized what was going on, Ronan's called for spotlights, which would create bright light. Because where you guys are at, there's like a air dome that goes out about 60 feet past the actual exterior of the complex, and that provides clean air because otherwise the air on Octurne causes hallucinogenic properties, and bright light, because even at full light on Octurne, so like you're facing the sun, because of the distance, it still seems like dusk, as far as that's the highest brightness level you ever get on Octurne. So dim light's basically the max, so the spotlights are providing bright light. That prevented this creature from being able to use its beam attack, but it had plenty of other um, damaging abilities with like its slashes and whatnot. But the party's able to fight this one off, and kind of comes to terms with like what it actually means to be on this planet. Meta-wise, at the end of every shift, you guys will make wisdom or will saves to see how well you're mentally handling the environment, because too much exposure will start to lead into hallucinogenic sort of things where you'll see things that aren't actually there. Um, Over the next little bit, there's a few more shifts that happened, but the big highlights are Delilah continues microdosing on the Icar, where she ends up learning that her parents sold her in the black market to get a better life for themselves. and um, she learns that her mentor for her down in the black market ended up getting a bounty put on his head because instead of actually selling her to slavery, he decided to raise her as his own. Um, she sees the Briarvath. She assumes it's the same one that you guys fought. Go back to a cave where there's a multitude of them, and it wakes up at least two other ones before it goes into hibernation. Um, she sees what she assumes is the impending battle of above Octurne with the Swarm, um, where all hell's kind of breaking loose. Hearing a comment from Asher Vox about you've served your purpose before there's a blinding white light. Um, there's a sequence where they're all on the OMAG and the stars are completely different. Like your guys are in a completely different section of space. She sees what she assumes is Galarian, but it seems to be like in a pocket universe, as there's a three-faced god sort of like molding things in that area. Oh, that reminds me. I'll get to there in a second. There was one. What was the other? She also saw her parents in like a beach house on Verces, seeming to have a good life. Also, in regards to that three-faced god, while you guys were on your way to Octurne, you guys had gone through the drift, and at one point you overheard what seemed to be like an omnipresent voice, uh, which, after talking with Karsai, the group seems to believe that this is Triune, which is the three-faced techno god, because the voices kept shifting between three different voices. But basically, it alluded to is uh, basically they're talking amongst themselves on whether or not they think you guys will be able to do it, and coming to the conclusion is if you guys can't, they can always reset the board and use a little bit more time because Galarian can wait. And that's kind of like the vagueness that you guys are left with that. Uh, John keeps experimenting with the Ichor because he's trying to find a use for it. Specifically, he's thinking that maybe it could be used as a bio weapon against the swarm because after learning from Karsai that the swarm won't come to this planet because it's not viable for actually consuming energy for their like development, he's trying to use that to his advantage. So he ends up getting like during one of the shifts going out past the bubble to a nearby river of Ichor and like getting a fucking ice chest worth of Ichor to bring back and study. He learns that potentially he could vaporize it to get like an aerosol effect, but he's going to need a method of distributing it a little bit more. Uh, Elite during this time had come up with maybe potentially sabotaging the ships with doomsday devices so that if the inner circle does turn on you guys, that you guys could at least take out part of the ships. Um, and working with John kind of updates that to maybe putting one of these bioweapons on each of those ships as a means of like not killing them, but basically putting them into a hallucinogenic, like incoherent state to prevent them from actually being able to attack. Um, that plan has kind of gone back and forth on whether or not they're actually going to do it because it's very risky of like trying to get on the ships and putting them. But once they had brought in T, they realized that they know the schematics of all the ships in the shipyards because of his time with the free captain. So he knows all the makes and models. Um, so he knows where you guys could put it. And using the rest of the free captains, they kind of like set up a itinerary of like when people are in different sections. So like when the opportune time would be to sneak on any given ship. So like the plans are there, but they still need to make the actual bioweapons themselves and then actually commit to putting them on the ship. They did kind of come to the consensus of like if they get caught, Ronan steals here, and they know that he's going to know immediately after. So like once you guys do commit to it, you run the risk of basically being found out of like trying to sabotage the inner circle. Outside of that, the group last week So about 3 days time, because how you guys are operating is you'll have like 12 hours on, 48 hours off. So it's basically a 3-day cycle. So you guys will be one of the other 12-hour shifts between. Um, but they encountered an Olgulf, which is like, I think that one's in the chat just a little ways up. It's that creepy ass looking like water lizard lightning thing.
Oh, the frog thing?
Yeah, so they
Ooh.
encountered 2 of those during their shift, which proved pretty testing. They ended up having a couple characters get into hit points, and I think one was down to like 20 or less total hit points, um, and needed to rest. Outside of that, I think that covers most of it. I'm sure I forgot something. But the gist is you guys are on these like alternating shifts. Um, Currently, you guys have approximately 39 days before the swarm anticipated to be inside the solar system, and when you guys would need to be in combat with them. Uh, Whether or not it takes that long for the ships to be done in the shipyards is to be determined, but that's kind of the timeline you're working on. Is there any RP you guys would like to do on the ship before heading out to the shift?
I think Nia would, after, waking up, getting situated and ready for the day, like, she would take a moment to pause and put her hand on the OMAG. It's good to see you. Good sort of morning. I hope you're feeling okay in these interesting conditions. Kind of reaching out to see how it's doing.
Uh, you get kind of a warmish glow, but also like the way it glows gives you the feeling that like there's a bit of unsettlingness to it, which kind of reminds you that this is a actual living entity and it's exposed to this. While it's in the dome, so it's protected from like any necessarily inherent properties of the world, it does see what's around it and has been for the last couple weeks.
It's gonna be okay. We'll figure this out, I'm sure. Kind of shaking in her voice and like trying her best to believe it too.
Don't worry. We'll finish building these ships and be on our way.
Agnes will kind of walk up at this point. Yes. While they don't say it very often, it wants to express that it's worried about its family.
You can understand it?
Well, I am the onboard AI. I know that since I took on the holographic persona that sometimes it gets confusing, but why I'm on the ship, I am uplinked with the rest of my AI personality.
Ah. Should have guessed that. My apologies, Agnes.
It's
Hopefully
not
it'll get-
necessarily like how we talk. It's still mostly emotion-based, but we're getting better.
Progress is progress, and in theory, as long as all this shipbuilding goes well, it'll get a chance to visit home, hopefully here soon. Ish. Hmm?
Yes. It has been trying. I think especially some of the free captains folks have really been struggling. T's doing his best, but even he has struggled going in and out of his ex persona almost seamlessly recently.
Wondered about that. Seems like a lot.
He's worried about being blamed for anyone that doesn't survive. As the captain, he feels that if anyone's to die, it should be him.
Well, don't know everything. Not one of the many precogs that we've traveled and met across the galaxy, but death does come for everyone, and most of the time, no one's at fault. I should talk with him about this.
I think he could use.
They're all
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
they're all free captains. Whether they die now or later, as long as they're fighting, I think most of them will be fine. They'll be happy. You shouldn't worry. At least I feel that way.
Nea
I think they
winces.
all do.
Well, funny you say that, Glarb. Most of them have basically given him that sort of reassurance that they're here to fight and serve their captain, and what happens, happens, and it's not his fault. But I don't think he really will accept it. Now, I know you guys have managed to avoid most of the harshness as far as the shifts have gone, but as you guys prepare for this next one, just keep in mind that even if you don't encounter anything, that the terrain itself can play tricks on you. Both John and Elite have ended up seeing things that aren't there on a couple of their excursions, leading to them wasting shots.
Tread carefully then. Thank you for the warning, Agnes. Hopefully the voices don't get too loud, I guess. As Nia kind of looks around, almost like she's looking at something nearby. I have lived with them my whole life. Well, nothing's gonna change now. Nothing's gonna change now.
I might not have said it earlier. A lot of the group had done shopping before they come to the planet because of the nature of where you're at. There's not really an opportunity to buy anything here on Octurne. So if you felt like you wanted to use any of the credits you had accrued on something, we could retroactively say you had bought it on Absalon Station before coming out here. I don't remember how much you guys had in your inventory. I know you guys had gotten at least 2,000 credits from one of the quests that you guys had completed.
Would that be marked by just the wealth number? Oh no, credits. Credit says 0. Aww.
Yeah, so you guys should have at least 2,000, because one of the quests that you completed was divvied out as 2,000 each. And then the current quest you're on is 100,000 credits, but you were able to convince them to give a 50,000 credit preload, which was broken up between the party, which I don't remember exactly how that came out to, but I think that was another 1,000 or so credits each. So I would say comfortably you guys have about 3,000 credits to work with, and then we'll make sure to divvy out the rest of the 50,000 as allocated. I don't know if you needed anything, but as we're going through, if you feel like you need another item, feel free to make the purchase as if you had made it on Absalon Station. Anything else? So you kind of have the ship, any RP with the NPCs on the ship. There's a little bit on the shipyards here if you'd like to interact. There's like a weight room, barracks, and armory, and that's basically it. And then the actual ships themselves that are being worked on and constructed.
I know where Nia wants to go, but I go first a lot, so Glarb, I'm putting you on the spot.
We'll go wherever. I gotta hopefully get to test this out, and I'm looking at a new small arm right now. I can't figure out what to get, but he's waving around the somewhat new small arm.
And remember, there is a holodeck on the ship, so if you're like wanting to do any training, that is an option as well. A couple of other members have done some like firearms training on the ship.
Neo would want to go poke around the shipyard, like just to see kind of what's what, check things out.
Perfect. Go ahead and give me. Let me open up one of these sheets so I can remember what your guys' stuff is.
Also think she is gonna cast, at least for the initial bits. Where is it? There was like a life bubble thing.
Feel free to cast it if you really want to. You guys are in effectively a man-made life bubble inside. So unless you go outside the perimeter, you don't have to worry about that. And even outside the perimeter, you have to go 60 feet from the perimeter before you'll basically see like a little blue bubble around the shipyards. And unless you go outside of that bubble, you don't need to worry about any of the unwanted effects of the environment. There, you can still see, like, if you go outside the ship, you can see on the horizon, like, there's like the tumor sort of mountain, and it always looks like it's moving. Which is the unsettling part, is like the planet itself seems to always be undulating, and just you can't ever get like a firm anything looking on the horizon.
Is the ground squishy too? Like, does it squish a little bit when we walk?
Yes.
Oh.
Like, yep.
Straight Diablo vibe. I love it, but also cute.
Okay, as you're making your way around the shipyards, go ahead and give me a perception. And depending on what you're looking for specifically, maybe an argument for one of the other ones, but...
I think where we're in the safety of the bubble, Neo would definitely be telepathically opened up, and I did pick up telepathic spy.
Okay.
I think. Maybe. I'm gonna double check just to be safe. Ha! Telepathic spy. So she would be able to detect similar psychic communication nearby. It doesn't specify a range, but that is a thing too. So she would definitely be open to that. So just perception or...
Yeah, perception. Maybe sense motive. I could see a solid argument for sense motive for what you're kind of going with here.
Ooh, that's a +6. I'm gonna roll that one. That came out to be a 22.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so as you kind of like start meandering around, like I said, it's pretty clinical as far as like the overall aesthetic going on here, because it's definitely like a military installation. There are ships in various levels of like construction. There's some that you can tell that are very close to being complete, and a few that are like 50-ish%. There's nothing that's like just being started. You can tell that you guys are kind of like towards the end of like whatever fleet they're compiling. You're definitely at the end of it. Most of the idle thoughts that you're getting without like having to like probe really deep are basically people like focused on their work. Like, okay, like the technical order says that we need to put this part here and like and attaching it this way, that type of stuff. Walking around some of the barracks, you kind of get gleans of some passing sort of thoughts of like trying to cope with the environment itself from the other mercenaries that have been hired to come out here. One of the ones that kind of catches you a little bit, it takes you a little bit to kind of like decipher who it is, but you're like 90% sure that this is Ronan, and basically is one last job to protect my planet sort of mentality, which you guys have kind of got the impression that Ronan's main priority is protecting Akaton and its interest, which is why he's a member of the Inner Circle. Like, it's not been confirmed, but this seems to kind of align with that sort of thing, is that while he will back Asher Vox anytime he says something, that it's because it's what's best for his planet, not necessarily what he believes in, because he's always been a good soldier and following orders.
Interesting. Don't feel comfortable acting on that by myself. kind of looks down at her shrimpy body. Yeah, no. He's too big.
Nah, you can take him. You got it.
Definitely not Glarb, but I appreciate
That's a fair
appreciate the
bite.
faith.
Okay. Did you find what you were looking for there, Glarb?
Yeah, we, Glarb, that, small pistol that he thought he was holding, faces into his Plasma Guide Series 28 with new attachments, so it's fancy now.
Ooh. Because the Plasma Guide, isn't that your sniper rifle?
Yeah, we picked it up on one of the...
Yeah, down...
It might have been the
dungeon on
Harvester
Castroville.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Anything from you, good sir?
We're ready for our shift, and we'll wait it out. I'm counting the days.
Any parting shots from you, Nea, before we head on this first shift?
I just hope that these motivations are enough to get these people through this. There's a lot at stake. Let's go. And off they go.
Perfect. Okay, so how these shifts have been broken up is you guys have been basically recommended by Run and Steel to always have 6 members because of the NPCs that were used during last week's session. You guys will have Agnes toting John's boomer rifle, Oscar Grim Reaper Tides, who is a operative as well, Tuske, who is a nanosite, and these are NPCs that you guys have had in your crews for a while, and then Ronan Steel will be joining you on this shift as well. As you guys go by the armory, Ronan Steel will pick up the Lightcaster. You can tell that he's more business at this point, like kind of locked in for your guys' upcoming shift. And as you guys kind of start making your way to the main entrance, you have like 2 separate doors that are about 6 feet wide each that kind of open like bulkheads as you guys make your way out. And you kind of like, after you get past them, it's the as you get out. Outside, there's a handful of barriers, kind of like, I'd say like waist height, that you can use as cover. And in Starfinder, how cover works is if they roll a success to hit you, then they roll a percentile dice, and depending on what level of cover determines what percentage it is to hit. If they don't hit you, they'll hit the barrier, and eventually the barrier will be destroyed, essentially. So I think it's slightly better than how D&D does barriers. So like having cover actually does do decent for you. But that obviously comes into play more if it's a ranged fighter and not a melee. Outside of that, like I said, there's about 60 feet out is where you can see the edge of the bubble. And you don't know if it's how they've set up the bubble or just this planet in general, but as soon as that bubble hits, it's basically pitch black. So you have like dim, like low level lights from like 15 feet out to that 60-foot marker, and then it's like pure darkness after that.
Let's see what this baby can do.
And he leans in, he's going to click a button on his scope. I had bought the night vision scope.
Oh, nice. What's the range on it?
Let me see. Increases the weapon's normal range by 1.5 times.
Okay, so it sounds like it's whatever your weapon's range is, which would make sense. So what's the range on the weapon itself? And remember, they go in range increments, so you can technically hit further than what it says there. You just take a negative modifier. And I think what I'd rule is the
So range increment would be 120.
perfect. So you got an extra 60 feet. As you're using your attachment here, so you can see an additional 60 feet out, and like I said, it's kind of undulating, looking to your left, kind of towards the edge of that part of the compound. That one is still within the bubble as far as like how far you can look, just because of the size of the compound itself. Like I said, it's able to fit 6 or 7 ships in here. But looking out directly in front of you, you're starting to see some of the things that John's talked about him doing with the fucking Ichor, where like you can see a little bit of a river kind of running, and it's pure black as far as like the river itself, and the viscosity is pretty high, so it's almost like a molasses sort of like running across the vein of the earth here. There's some like hills that look tumorish-y. There's also what initially you think are tumbleweeds, but they end up being just poison clouds. But the way they roll is similar to like tumbleweeds across the plain here. Other than that, as of right now, you don't see much, but do give me a perception check.
15.
It's hard to make out, and you're thinking that maybe it's a trick of your eyes. But there seems to be almost like an oil slick, sort of like shimmer in the air pretty far out. And the only reason why you start to get tense is because that's almost exactly the same thing John said on his first shift. And you start to get on edge. Everybody give me a mysticism check.
Handy. That's a 34 for Nia.
And not even nat 20, fucking 34 straight. Like,
She's just that good with mysticism.
19.
I mean, that's still really good. Anyways, okay.
It is. Yay! Yay for Glarb.
Glarb, you'll feel a presence wanting to talk to you. You know that it's like telepathy, but like you can't quite make it out who's trying to talk. Like, would you want to let them talk to you?
Yeah, Glarb's gonna just like just start talking. Who's messing around in the brain static? Who's there?
Nia, with your 34, you would recognize this as Karsai, the Ichor King, trying to make a connection.
Oh, it's Karsai again. Hold on. And she'll open the door. She's like, in her mind, he's like a wonderful king to some extent. Yeah, he looks a little goopy and weird, but she's cool with him, so she'd open the door immediately.
Hello, my friends, the Revengers. It's the time again. I couldn't stop this one either. It seems the one you faced last time has woken some of the others. Be on your guard.
Yes.
Thank you for the
Bring
warning,
them.
Sire. We'll get him Glarb, I guess. Let's
Glarb,
go!
You would then notice that that shimmer that you had seen out about 120 feet shifts again, moving a little bit closer, and beams of light come out of it. Everybody give me a reflex save. You guys can roll at advantage.
Uh, 18.
Perfect. What about you, Nina?
advantage. That came to 26.
Perfect. That's really good. Okay, roll for these other people.
Good luck, NPCs.
Okay. Tuesday and Agnes, despite you guys warning them, aren't able to dodge this, as they're both going to take 32 fire damage as the beams of light nail them. The rest of you are able to either take cover or dive out of the way, and you'll see the beams of light that were coming for you hit the wall and leave massive scorch marks on the exterior of the building. And it seems that this has not been the first time that this has happened. At this point, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break before we roll initiative. So Agnes isn't looking too bad after that shot, but definitely looking a little rough. Tuesday definitely took a little bit harder hit there. She's still in her stamina points because she's one of the ones that I made as an actual character instead of an NPC. But definitely took a solid shot there. Have you guys both been able to hop into Roll20?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me make sure that I have given control to you guys of your characters. Okay. You should be able to move yours now, Wyatt.
Aha. Yep.
And you should now be able to move yours, Julia. Perfect.
Yep.
And then when I add nameplates in here, so you guys should be able to see character names. So you're seeing Agnes and Tuesday. It should just show a slight small name beneath them. Maybe it only shows for the DM, which, if that's the case, then that's okay. Not ideal, but better than nothing.
Yeah, I am not seeing names. I'm zooming in just to be safe, and I do not see any.
Okay. So maybe that's only something the DM sees, which is kind of weird, but alright. Alright, we'll go ahead and roll initiative, and kind of work from there.
Right. That's a 14 for Nea.
14 for Glarb.
Oh, you both got 14?
But I beat
Yeah,
you.
you
'cause I got
automatically
the
because
beat.
of your beat.
Aha!
Okay. Roll for all these NPCs real quick. Our NPCs are not rolling very hot right now. Okay. So our initiative is going to be the Briar Bath. followed by Glarb, then Nea, then Tuske, then Ronan, then Agnes, and Oscar will bring up the rear. The Briar Bath, since it has a movement of 40 feet, it's going to take its 40 feet of movement. Which will put it just inside the light so everybody can see it now. Pretty much at max range, though. Which will bring us to Glarb. Oh, I should probably change this to combat, huh?
Ah, yes, there's the dread. It's a good dread, don't worry.
Okay, so it's what? Probably not that tab. So Glarb, it is currently 60 feet from you.
Alrighty. And then movement-wise, it's just speed, right? So it says land 40. Is each square 5 feet.
Yeah, each square is 5 feet. The ruler will confirm your full distance, but other than that, it's pretty basic. So it sounds like you should be able to get to 20 feet without having to dash. If you want to get right up close and personal, you need to use the dash action. But if you're using your other ranged weapons, you should be able to definitely be able to get in range. And with your sniper, you're already in range. And if I'm not mistaken, and double check me, but I think you can still use your operative abilities with ranged weapons. There might be a caveat on it needing to have the operative thing with it.
So my trick stuff is it's small arm or operative specific.
Gotcha. So your sniper could have that ability on it. I don't remember though.
I don't think it does have the operative ability. So we do have proficiency though, so we're gonna move 40 here and try to sidestep here, get an angle on them, and then we are gonna shoot at what here? Let's see. 19.
19. What type of damage is it? And this is important because if you remember, Starfinder separates it into EAC, which is energy-based attacks, and KAC, which are kinetic-based attacks. So depending on what type of damage depends on it's because your armor may give you better energy defense than kinetic defense.
Let me see here. Explosive round. Which one?
I'm muted. It should have right next to on the like actual weapon where you go to roll the attack. It should have at least a letter next to it to indicate what type of damage it does.
E and F.
E and F. So it's electric and fire damage. So it would be against its EAC. Unfortunately, a 19 does not hit. As this kind of goes towards it, it seems to like phase through it. Whether or not it's just not effective or the creature managed to dodge it, you're not sure, but it definitely seems that like at least at that attack level, it just can't connect with it.
Didn't do. Okie.
Okay, would you like to use any additional bit of your movement or a swift action?
Nope. I think I am good. I used all 40, so.
Okay. All right, that will bring us to Nea.
I think I'm gonna go with uh, 30 feet of movement, so I could center up on this creature. Because that would just be 10 feet, right? To scooch over 2 squares.
Yes. 2 squares
Okay.
would be 10 feet. And remember, it's kind of weird. I can't remember if D&D works this way. Your first diagonal is 5 feet. Your second diagonal is 15.
Oh, cool. Reminder
Not
is
that it
always
applies.
appreciated.
Yeah, and not that it applies here, just...
Yeah, Nia's not getting any closer. She just wants to line up her shot a little bit better is all.
Perfect.
And she is going to cast Hard Light Spheres.
Okay.
And summon 4, it says you create 4 small glowing spheres that orbit your head for the duration of the spell, which is 1 minute. And then as a swift action, I can launch one of the spheres, making a range attack against its KAC with a range of 60 feet. And you said it's within 60 feet, yes?
Yeah, I think you should still be 60 feet. Yeah, you're 60 feet.
Oh, okay, sweet. Perfect. So we'll do one of those. And then, after summoning them, she'll say, well, if it wants light, may as well give it what I can, and toss one of the spheres with a swift action.
Perfect. Go ahead and roll that attack with advantage because of it being a light attack.
Ooh. Nice. I'm just trying to figure out what it wants me to roll.
I should be able to assist. It should have, or it might be a save too.
Well, it says if you hit, so I thought that meant I had to roll, but it doesn't. I'm not sure where it wants me to roll something.
Make a ranged attack.
Range.
Okay, so I think it's just using your range attack modifier and a d20. So looking at yours, your ranged attack is a +8, so you're going to roll a d20 + 8.
Oof, that's an 11.
Unfortunately, an 11 does not hit. You wait,
Oh,
was that an advantage?
No, it wasn't. There's a 25.
25.
I appreciate you letting me have the oopsie there.
25 does not hit either.
Oh, damn.
You see this light sphere sail by, and you can tell the creature's attention kind of turns towards it enticingly, but it goes just outside of its range, so it kind of loses interest as it whizzes by. Yeah, that was basically the same reaction the rest of the group had whenever they encountered this thing.
It's just hungry.
That will bring us to Tusuke. Tusuke is going to prep her hunting rifle. But before that, she's gonna kind of like look at you guys. This is her first shift. So far, she's kind of, the crew in general has been drawing straws, and it seems like the free captains guys have been kind of stacking the deck to take the most of the straws. So she's finally ended up on one of these shifts. So she's kind of trying to figure out everybody else's kind of attack pattern. And what she's going to do is going to summon a cloud array of nanites in front of you, Nea. which will take up 2 plus her con modifier, which is 4. So it's going to take up 6 squares. And effectively what this is going to do is it's going to create a mischance of 15% in these 6 squares. And I'm going to draw it. So she's going to position it primarily on you, but she's going to go 1, 2, 6. So that blue box there is a 15% mischance as her nanites kind of swarm off of her body, forming a cloud and that sort of distribution there. So right now it's just you and Ronan Steele within that cloud. I think that super action for her. And then she's going to kneel to increase her defense behind this barrier, so she's now at a 70% structure, but she has her rifle aimed at the creature, which will bring us to Ronan. He is prepping the Lightcaster. Unfortunately, it only has 40-foot range, and he, at the moment, is not willing to sacrifice his posture here. Make sure there's nothing else he needs to do. So he's going to hold his action until the creature's within 40 feet, which will bring us to Agnes. Agnes is going to move up so that she's within range of this creature. But she's gonna aim the boomer rifle after she borrowed it from John at the creature and make a shot, which is a 23 to hit, which will unfortunately sail by this creature as well, bringing us to Oscar, who has recently been gifted a disintegrator pistol. The range on it's kind of atrocious, though.
Aw. Just has to see the whites of its teeth, I guess. Doesn't really have eyes.
Okay, so he's going to move up so that he's within 15 feet, which is kind of dicey, but... Or at least try to. What's it? You might not be able to make that far yet. He's going to move up his full 40, which unfortunately isn't quite in range with his pistol, so he's going to hold his action until the creature's within range, which will bring us back to the Briar Bath. As of right now, nothing has hit it, so it is moving unhindered and doesn't seem interested in you guys. At the moment, it seems focused on the lights. Inside the complex. That movement, though, is going to set off Oscar, who's going to take he is going to attempt a trick first, specifically a debilitating trick. He's going to try and get a silence on the creature using his intimidate. He rolled a 27, but unfortunately the CR of this creature is too high, so he's not able to pull up a strict attack, but he will still make his attack with his pistol, which also doesn't hit. Agnes was the other one holding her action, and she'll make her attack. Or not Agnes. That's right. Ronan's gonna fire off one with the Lightcaster, rolling a nat 1, wasting one of the 15 canisters left as it sails by the creature, which just seemed to move too fast for him. That will bring us to Glarb.
There are like flanking statistics, right? Or like bonuses to that.
Yeah, so the way I've been ruling flanking is advantage, basically just using the D&D rule. We learned last week that it's only a +2, but I'm not going to implement that until after the session, basically because this is technically the same session number. So if you were to achieve flanking requirements, it would be advantage.
Let's see.
Which I think right now will be a little tough just based off the positioning of everybody, but because no one's in melee range yet.
We are going to move our 40. We don't want to shoot our ally in the back. That's not a good idea.
I mean,
Duck.
technically you're considering a
Duck.
5-foot square, so there should be room to shoot around him, right?
Okay. I didn't want to be like, yo, and then just actually take out one of the.
That would be counterproductive.
The heads up and the turnaround. There are no more hit. 27.
Hey!
27
With the E and F.
EAC, right?
Yep, EAC.
27 does not hit.
Oh, this guy is taking EAC. Oh no. That'll be.
You can tell that this one seemed to almost hit home. It's very, very, very close. Anything else for your turn, Glarb? You might have some movement left. I don't remember how much you used. And I don't know what sort of actions you have, but the basic ones are changing grips or dropping prone. So changing grips is basically going one-handed to two-handed or vice versa. And then if you feel inclined to go prone out in the middle of the wasteland here.
Because of course, gotta find the right mound to lounge on, the right
Yeah,
lump to
basically.
sit on.
This one's too fleshy. You gotta get one slightly less fleshy.
Yeah, this one's more of a stiff tumor. I like mine more squishy.
No. No more quick actions for Glow. Won't be it for him.
Okay. That will bring us to Nea.
All right. So, let me get my little ruler out. See if we're close enough to try this. Oh, we are. I'm scared, but we're gonna do it anyways because I want to test this spell, and I'm sure Nea would too.
Perfect.
She's gonna cast Warp Wave,
Okay. That sounds
and it says, it says you blast your target with the ripples of a myriad of realities, causing it to transform in unpredictable ways that are typically temporary. If the target fails its initial saving throw, roll on the Warp Wave effect table and apply the resulting condition, critical hit effect or spell effect to the target. If the target is immune to this selected effect, roll a second time and apply the second effect instead. If it's also immune, then it's unaffected by the spell. So if you basically get 2 whiffs, it just doesn't work.
Okay.
And then I have a little table.
Perfect. Okay. So it looks like a fortitude save.
Yes.
Let's
Uh,
17.
oh. I'm glad you found it. Thank you.
This is fucking impressive because it has a plus 13 in fortitude,
Oh.
but managed to fail this save.
Yo.
Okay, so you're gonna roll
Um,
from the table is what it looks like.
Yes, and then there is some additional text about different effects and how they vary, as some of them are instantaneous and such. So I guess we roll and see what happens.
Okay. These all sound terrible.
No. That was an 11.
Okay,
So off target.
And subscript 3 each minute, and affected creature can attempt to do saving 13 to affect her. Okay, okay, that's it, because the other ones are just for the unannotated. And yours is 1 minute per level, which means you've gone purist, right?
Yes.
So you're a level 7.
7.
So this potentially can last for 7 rounds, assuming it doesn't pass this next save. But the off target. Again, at my off target takes a -2 to its attack rolls for the duration.
Hey.
Every little bit's gonna count here. Okay. Anything else for your turn?
Nia will then use another swift action to hurl another sphere.
Perfect. Go ahead and roll me that spell attack roll.
That one, that's a 14.
14 does not hit. But at least at the moment, since no one's hit it, it seems to have not taking any interest in any of you guys at the moment. As you guys are kind of like looking at it, and Ronan's kind of voiced this based off of like trying to position himself, is it seems interested in the spotlights on top of the walls. You don't know how close it needs to get to like try and consume these lights, but you know that could potentially be bad. Ronan has positioned the spotlights now centered out over the array here. He called this to happen. So based off of what you guys had heard from the other party's feedback is with the spotlight active, it can't use its light-based ranged attack, but you do know it has other things, specifically a pretty devastating claw attack if it gets within range of you. This will bring us to Tusuke. She's fairly confident with how she's got the nanites positioned at the moment and is at least going to make an attempt with her hunting rifle. But with an 11, that's not going to hit, which will bring us to Ronan. Ronan is going to make another attack with the Lightcaster. Which will hit. You'll see the canister basically hit the creature in the chest, and as it explodes, the claws kind of like come forward, and it basically causes all the light to collapse inward before it pulls it in. It still takes damage off of it, but you can tell that this creature definitely is looking for that type of energy. Which will bring us to Agnes. She's going to make another shot with the boom rifle, which will miss, bringing us to Oscar. Having been brought a little bit out of position, he's going to move up a little bit to get back into range. before attempting another trick. But with a nat 1, you can tell the environment's getting to him, so like it's all bluster as he's trying to intimidate this creature. He still makes a shot with the disintegrator pistol, which will not hit, bringing us back to the Briar Bath. It's going to continue moving forward, but it's going to alter its attack pattern just a smidgen and move up onto Ronin's steel and make a claw attack on him, landing a solid 40 slashing damage on him. Which will bring us to Glarb.
Alright, let's take a gander here.
Oh, you know what? Before it hit, you keep working, you Glarb. I'm gonna roll a percentile dice real quick because I forgot that there's a 15% chance of missing, which it's
So close. Was worth it.
you know, whatever little bit of percentage you guys can get counts, right?
Yep. Exactly.
We just gotta hit it at the right angles, you know? Try again. Darn, 12.
Oh, with your sniper rifle?
Yep.
If you didn't move, you can take a full action. The caveat with full actions is it's a -4 on your attack roll for each one. I don't know if that's going to prevent you from being able to hit it all, but since you already missed the first one, if you'd like to make a second one, you could.
It's unwieldy, so it says I can't use it as a full attack.
You know what? There, I stand corrected. So,
Aw.
unless you have a feat that negates that, but I don't know if you.
No.
Yeah.
I do not. So yeah, we're just pew pew. One of these angles will get him.
Okay.
But that'll be it for Glarb.
That will bring us to Nea.
Decisions. Is that one also fortitude? That one's also fortitude. So many fortitude spells. Oh no. Maybe we try this. Nia is going to attempt to cast Void Whispers. Says the target's mind is flooded with the elder mysteries from the dark between the stars and galaxies and dimensions. The target must attempt a will save. On a failure, it begins whispering incoherently and moves half its speed in a random direction. On its turn, it does nothing except whisper and move half its speed in a random direction.
Okay.
I'm a little worried about its will save, but we're gonna try.
Will save is its better one. That's a 24, which I think your save was a 17. Does it do anything if it... No, it looks like it negates it if it passes.
Nope.
Definitely good thought.
That's okay.
It still is
Yeah.
affected by that off-target, though.
Yeah. And then with another swift action, she'll hurl the third spear.
Perfect. Go ahead and give me that spell attack.
That was a 16. We're climbing.
Climbing. 16, unfortunately, still does not hit. This guy's definitely a tough one. Which will bring us to Tusuke. Tusuke wanting to maximize her potential with the cloud array, is going to move up in front of you, Nea, because she has effectively anybody in the cloud array now gains bodyguard feat, which means she can use her nanites to help them with their defense. That doesn't apply. After that, she is going to make an attack with, you know what, she's actually going to move up into melee range of this creature to try and help Ronan steal. And she's going to make an attack with her longsword. But with the 12, it seems to just go straight through the creature. Ronan, despite how much that attack hurt, is going to make another attack with his Lightcaster at advantage. Landing a solid attack with a 36. Doing another 29 damage to the creature. Bringing us to Agnes. Agnes is going to turn that boomer rifle on him, especially with how close he's starting to get to the base. But is unable to connect with her 16, bringing us to Oscar. He's going to move forward 20 feet to get within 15 feet of it. He's going to make another attempt with his trick. This one better than his last, but not able to land. It seems like the confidence is building a little bit with Ronan being able at least to land a couple attacks with the rifle, but he's unable to connect with his pistol either, leading to the Briarbath's turn. What it's going to do is it's going to apply its impossible aura. So anything within 15 feet of it, which I think at the moment is Nea, Tuske, and Ronan, will need to make a will save.
Will they pass? Oh,
That's a
gosh.
15 for Nia.
Tuske and Nea, you're going to take 1 intelligence and wisdom damage, meaning temporarily your intelligence and wisdom scores are lowered by 1.
Oof. Okay.
And basically what happens is the creature exudes its presence, and there's a multitude of colors across the spectrum that appear, even colors that don't make sense to you, like you can't comprehend them, like they're not colors that you should be able to see, causing you to temporarily lose a little bit of your sanity, driving the wisdom and intelligence damage. Ronan's able to fight that part off, but he's going to take 2d6 damage and will be sickened from it. He's able to fight through it, but he will take a little bit of damage. Nothing too crazy. The creature then is going to make a snowball attack on Ronan again. Doing, Jesus Christ, 46 damage to him. Bringing us to Glarb.
Oh, let's get down to it and try to see if we can get this shot to penetrate. Let's see. Nope. 21 with the sniper again.
20 unfortunately does not hit. Is there anything else you would
Damn.
like to do?
Move. And that'll be it.
Okay, that will bring us to Nea.
Right. Nea is going to. Don't want to leave the square, but she's hesitant to stay so close. We're just gonna stay put and hope that 15% helps with this. She is gonna, after taking this damage and kind of recentering herself for a minute, she narrows her brow and kind of mutters curses under her breath and casts Slice Reality on it.
Okay.
And expose targets to churning entropy, which turns parts of their bodies sickly and black, and each target takes 2d6 damage. A successful fortitude save halves it. But if it fails the save, the target is also staggered for a number of rounds equal to the caster level.
Well, seeing as it rolled a nat 1 on that fortitude save, go ahead and roll me your staggered whatever and your damage.
Sweet. Staggered for a number of rounds equal to cast round, so it's staggered for 7. And then 2d6.
Okay, I gotta remember what staggered does to it.
3.
I mean, every little bit's gonna count here. What staggered does is that's the one where it can either move or it can take a standard action. It can't do both. So basically, you're cutting its options down on how much it can do. So it's both off target and staggered currently, which will bring us to 2 scale. Looking at what she's got in here.
Making progress. He will get it eventually.
Okay. Okay, so Tusuke is going to use a swift action to activate reactive repair on Ronan. What this does is it creates a field within her cloud array or adjacent to her, either or, and it will heal 2 hit points per round for anybody in her cloud array. She's going to focus it on Ronan because he's taking damage at the moment. And it will also give him temporary hit points. So he is going to regen up to by 2 with the activation of that, and that field is currently active. And then she is going to make another attack with her longsword. This one seems to at least kind of connect with the creature. It just does not actually do any damage. She rolled a 24 with her slashing sword, which just does not quite see, bringing us to Ronan. getting that little bit of vitality and having the advantage on this attack, he's going to make another roll with his Lightcaster. Rolling a 36 to get another one off. Doing 17 damage. Which, while it doesn't necessarily take this creature down, it seems to either piss it off or satiate it enough that after it's consumed the light, it makes out a screech, causing another one of those auras to kind of activate. Fortunately, all three of you are the same people that were affected by the aura previously, so it does not have an effect on you as it fades to what you assume is invisibility, because you can see the area around it sort of affected as it disappears, concluding combat, at least for the moment. So, as far as you guys are aware, you didn't kill the creature, but you fired off enough of these light canister shots to appease it for the moment. You can tell that Ronan's fairly shooken up and will even kind of like, he'll look at the gun. We're down to 11. Hopefully we don't encounter another one of those tonight.
I think Karsai only said there was one, that others were awake. There will be more.
Karsai, have you met with the Echo King?
Well, he spoke in my head just a little bit ago. I kind of listen for those things. Sorry.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad that you've talked with the Echo King, but just surprising because most are too terrified to go to the Black Citadel. It's a very dangerous place.
I suppose one could argue any place is dangerous depending upon who you are. This place is just a little...
Everywhere
less...
I go is dangerous, so doesn't really matter.
Spoken like
Maybe a little-
soldier. And you can see some like huge gashes down like his armor from the couple claw attacks.
Ooh, should we take you to a med bay or something? Are you okay? And Nea kind of like goes to approach him, but like seems to think better of it and backs up a little bit, but like trying to maintain the concern.
Well, I appreciate your concern. We have another 6 hours on the shift.
Good point.
I don't know if I've actually had the pleasure of sitting with you. Are you also part of the Revengers?
Yes, I'm Nea. Not from the same, most of the same places as these folks. I tend to wander, but yes, one of the Revengers.
Interesting. And you, I take it you have a duality to you, a free captain, if I'm not mistaken, as well as a Revenger?
Yeah. I might not be a captain like the other guy, but I am the best freebooter out there. I got the biggest gun to prove it.
Oh, T sometimes is a little bit full of himself, but I have enjoyed my time with Lavada. While I don't always see eye to her because she is not as direct, she does have the welfare of her people in mind.
A respectable goal, I suppose, especially in such dire circumstances.
They keep saying these times are dire, but like every day you're struggling and fighting, so like I guess captain wants certain things, but like, frankly, I think staying like this, it'd be fine with me.
Well,
Maybe not quite like this, but
I tend to agree. The environment here can do a number on one's mind. And while I enjoy a good fight, knowing your limits and taking a break are important.
indeed.
If you guys weren't familiar, that creature was the Briarbath, which is unfortunately the most dangerous creature on the planet. The shipyards need light in order for us to work 24 hours, and those creatures feed on the light, effectively making us a beacon to them.
Makes it hard to work, I suppose.
Well, at least dangerous. I suppose we could have opted to hire only individuals that can work in pure darkness, but getting anybody to come out here to this planet was already a difficult enough process.
Can't imagine why. She kind of squishes the ground under her a little bit.
Oh, I don't know why, but this is probably the most I've spoken to any of the crews. I will leave you guys to it. Hopefully, the rest of our shift is uneventful. And he'll kind of move over to one of the other barricades at this point.
Seems nice for only caring about his own. Interesting. And she'll kind of turn to face Glarb. Suppose we just watch now? Hope nothing else happens?
Yeah. You hope nothing happens. I hope something does happen. But, hey, two sides of a coin, right?
Indeed. I enjoy you and spending time around you anyways. You're pretty fun.
Yeah.
Nia would also kind of attempt to telepathically feel around the nearby area, continuing to monitor as well as listening for Karsai again, just in case.
Okay, go ahead and give me a sense motive.
Oh, it's reduced. Alright, Pizzle. That's a nat 1 for a 7.
Well, hell.
She ain't seeing shit.
I was gonna say, I guess, because sense motive is what based off of wisdom.
Yep.
It seems that the Briarbats attack on you, and both the reduction in wisdom and intelligence will reset. I think it would have been after 4 rounds, so we'll give it about 10-15 minutes. So like after a while, this will dissipate. But as you're making this initial attempt, it definitely feels like your mind is clouded. Almost like behind your eyelids, you can still see all these colors that just don't make sense. And it's kind of like distracting as you're trying to reach out. So at the moment, you don't really get anything. You the big things you get are Glarb is kind of interested in another fight, and Ronan be kind of hyper vigilant. But other than that, it's pretty quiet. So you don't know if that means there's actually nothing there, or if it's just your senses are dulled at the moment.
Stuffy voices indeed. And she kind of like, silly fog.
As the rest of your guys' shift progresses, you are fortunately not having to encounter anything else for the evening. But is there anything you would like to do during this 6-hour shift, or the remainder of your shift, which is about 6 hours?
all seems pretty quiet. Like Nia, I definitely think would get curious and wander a little bit closer to the borders of where the light starts to extend a little bit, I guess, just to kind of see what's out there and explore the area a bit.
Perfect. Yeah, as you get closer, it is one of the most disconcerting things once you get towards like that border, because I don't think Nia has dark vision, correct?
Nope, she's human.
So, like, it's basically like the border hits, and you can see where that bubble is, and it's dim light because they've repositioned the spotlights back towards the shipyard. So at this point, like, you're in low light, but as soon as that border hits, it is pitch black, and you can't see shit after that bubble. So like, it is literally like light and dark. They're like, you don't quite understand the technology they're using in order to like trap the light inside here, and it also terrifies you a little bit looking past the bubble, knowing that it is pitch black on the planet currently, and it's just part of it's the nature of the timing of your shift. So it looks like you guys have the one of the shifts where you don't have daylight, even though on this planet it would have been low light even if it was full daylight. It's like the most awkward thing ever, where it's like at peak sunlight you're getting dusk, so like you get about what is it, 5 to 6 hours of like progressively like not pitch black but also not dusk, and then at the peak it's dusk, and then it immediately goes back down to pitch black. So at no point do you ever feel like you're getting enough light, and you're thankful that your ship has some vitamin D supplemental light, because you're never going to get it on this planet.
Irma sad vibes. Very fair.
What about you, Glarb?
Glarb's gonna like sneakily walk up behind here do scoping off.
Yep. Horrors beyond comprehension. Puny Hume can't see in the dark.
She puts her hands on her hips and tries to make herself look bigger by standing on her toes. Oh, I don't know if that came through or not, Don. I'm sorry.
I heard part of it. It was just loud enough that I think I could hear it on Wyatt's, but
but she's like, I'm not that small, and she puts her hands on her hips and like tries to make herself taller by standing on her toes. I think you're the one that's small.
Oh, I'm the small one. Go get him, Tiger.
He's gonna like smack her to like bump her into the darkness.
Give me a reflex save, Mia.
Okay. That's a 23, but I kind of want to fall in anyways.
It's one of those, like, you kind of like dip in, and it's just long enough for you to realize. It's kind of like if you were to like go into like the basement of a house and you didn't turn on the light. You're like, oh god, fuck, and then like come back in immediately. Which works out great that you weren't in there for more than that, because otherwise you would have had to roll for like the hallucinogenic gases in the air.
Oh shit.
But yeah, you quickly realize that no, it's legit dark as fuck over on the other side.
Oh my god, Glarb, dark. Like that's not even like deep space dark, not even like the depths dark. That's just dark. That's soul sucking dark. You do it now.
Oh,
Pact buddies.
Pact buddies? Yeah.
Glarb's gonna just like when you're like crossing the line, like jump back and forth, like he just like jumps in. He's like, woo. Like ready, but he's not gonna be like so scared to jump out immediately. He's just gonna be like,
oh no,
dark.
wait.
Like turn around. Like I don't know if she can like if it's like blackness she can't see me, but I'm just like raised shoulders like.
How long are you
dark.
thinking about setting over on that side before you come back in?
Say a good 30 seconds.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a fortitude save. As for your whether or not Nea can see you, once you cross the border, she can't see shit. Like, you just fucking disappeared as far as she can tell because of how dark it is.
13.
Glarb, within that 30 seconds, you quickly realize this is not one of those planets that's really designed for you to, like, breathe the air. Luckily, you have this realization quick enough that it doesn't start to affect you, and you're able to get back inside the bubble. But it was definitely one of those that, like, if you stayed much longer, you're not sure if you would have started having negative effects, or at a minimum started hallucinating.
Well,
Yeah, not so tough now, huh, big guy?
yeah, it's got some spicy air over there. It's I had a feeling I was gonna, I don't know, see those horrors of beyond comprehension I was talking about, but like, I didn't see them. I'm just thick-willed, you know, too cool for that.
Well, you know, I kind of forgot about that in my hubris right there, so probably shouldn't do that again. But packed buddies now. Cool. Glad you're okay. Hey, how about I race you back towards the light? 3, 2, 1, go, and she'll take off.
Then Glar's gonna just hobble after her, trying to catch up.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Carry this big
I'm
gun's
not
not
scared.
easy.
You're scared.
Exactly.
Oh man. Like I said, outside of that, the end of your guys' shift is pretty uneventful. The environment, there's definitely some awkward noises. You guys can hear a little bit of like faint water off in the distance, and you assume this is where that water creature everybody else had like encountered a couple nights before came from, but like you can't see it because it's one outside the bubble and two like pretty far off on the left-hand part of the compound, which the compound itself is pretty large, so like getting over to that region is pretty rough. But other than that, you guys are able to make your way back in at the end of your shift, turning in the light caster and making your way back to the ship. Go ahead and give me a will save.
21.
That's a 16.
Perfect. It's one of those, you guys can definitely tell why people struggle with being here long term, but you're able to tough it out as you make your way back to the ship. At this point, you guys have about 2 days of downtime before you would have another shift, unless you volunteer to hop on with the rest of the player characters leading into the next session. But if there's any RP that you would like to do during this time frame, we'll handle that now, and then probably call it after that.
Sorry, I'm just reading over things to see if there's anything in specific Nea might be interested in.
Yeah, let me look at my notes, because I think you guys have done some training sessions before, so there might be some stuff that you're already working towards. Oh, no. Doesn't look like you guys have done any training sessions yet, so...
And for additional context on the training sessions, is that just like specifically weapons? Is it any sort of skill we wanted to train in, or?
Yeah, so the way I had ruled it meta-wise was if you wanted to work on a specific skill, so like intimidation, those types of things, you need um, just, I think I had ruled it as 5 successful rolls on it to get a permanent increase in those skills. If you wanted to go at ability score, so strength, dex, charisma, those ones, it's 10 successful. Now, the DC is 15, and every 5 over that is an extra success, essentially. So, like, you could go faster in it depending on how well you roll. And that's just, it's basically me just rewarding you guys for RPing out certain, like, training progression type stuff.
Okay. I think Nia would want to trying to figure out what would increase her spell DC. Or how that math would math out, because what she would want to train in is like increasing the potency and the strength of some of these spells so that she can like make sure that they land, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how that would work in some of the mental cases, but I guess increasing her own fortitude so that her spells stick.
Perfect. Okay, so your spell caster DC is going to be based off of your primary casting stat, which for Witch Warper I assume is charisma. Let's do a quick check though, so I'm not giving you bad info.
I think it is 2. That's the one I have my highest in.
Give me this specific. I think that's right, because I think it's it's the spell level plus your stat modifier. So you have a +4 in charisma, so your zero level spells are a 14 save, and then it increments based off of the level of the spell. So if you're wanting to increase it, obviously it's casting at a higher level spell. There's items that can increase spell casting saves, but if you're working on a specific thing you as a person can do, you'll be increasing your charisma score.
Okay, that makes sense, and that's 10 sessions if I go that route.
Or, like I said, there's other items that do that, and then I think it's every 5 levels you guys get to increase ability scores.
Oh, okay, cool. So maybe it would be better to put that time somewhere else.
It's your personal preference. The only downside on that ability score increase is I think if it's lower than 15, I might be mistaken. It's a +2 for a certain range, and then after that range, it's only a +1. So where your charisma score is currently, it's only going to be a +1 at that point. But that should still mean you can get it to a 20 plus by the end of the campaign if you're, or end of max level.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, I think I might pivot though for RP purposes. After watching Ronan get kind of bodied by that creature, she's gonna want to deep dive into like med kits and learning how to bandage on the fly and get into those more survival-y type things. I think is what that would fall under.
I could see the argument for survival, medicine, or life science. Based off of what you were describing there. Or not, medicine.
Yeah, I think we will go for medicine in that regard, because she's really focusing on using different tools, like maybe digging into the med kits in the ship, figuring out what's inside them, how they all work, what they're used for, and like different scenarios maybe in the training area, trying to take care of people who are wounded.
Perfect. Yeah, and you can simulate in the holodeck kind of like some of those sort of like medicine type check situations, like the blanking on it, despite this being a requirement I used to have in order to deploy. But basically, like someone gets injured on the battlefield and being able to patch them up relatively quickly. Go ahead and give me a medicine check. Failing doesn't mean you don't progress, it just means it'll be a slower process. So it would be a full 5 sessions if you fail every time, whereas if you succeed, then it could potentially go faster.
Ooh, we got a 15.
Nice. So we're going to say you need 3 more training sessions in order to get an increase in your medicine check.
Woot woot.
Basically, like I said, at the holodeck, you're able to simulate a couple of these different situations. So, like, there's like the basic, like applying a bandage, a tourniquet, those types of things. Kind of getting an understanding of like what things you could actually provide medicine to versus it just like being outside of that repertoire and needing like a healing spell or a stim pack. Like kind of getting a basic understanding of those types of flows, and even being able to like resuscitate someone, like if they were to go unconscious, those types of things are like what you're able to put together in that holodeck training.
Nice.
Okay, Glarb, is there anything you're wanting to do during this downtime? And we can pick up with some more downtime because the rest of the party is at this stage of doing downtime as well. So don't feel like we have to fit it all in tonight.
Glarb is also going to be at the holodeck, and he's going to just be working on like target acquisition. So like hologram pops up, it's an ally versus popping up, it's a swarm enemy. And like taking shots and like registering friend from foe in quick, snappy scenarios.
Okay. What's your main focus here, Glarb? So I get the concept of like being able to tell enemy from foe. Is that like a sense motive or a?
Let's go for more perception.
Okay, perception. Okay, go ahead and give me a perception roll.
26.
Oh yeah, just an easy 26.
Damn.
So we're gonna say you're gonna only need one more successful training session to improve that perception score. And it's one of those, you've been bred for this for a while in the free captains. Everybody thinks is like pirates is like just after money and those types of things, but one of the nuances they tend to forget within the free captains themselves is being able to tell people or to be able to read people. And you've had a knack for a while of being able to tell what tendencies someone's going to lean towards. Like you're at a table playing cards and being able to tell who's more likely to start a fight based off of losing, those types of things. Not actually per se great at cards, not saying that you're bad, but you're better at being able to anticipate the coming fights. Because let's be honest, that's what you're looking for anyways.
We know how to find them.
So yeah, overall a great perception increase in that regard. All right. Is there anything else that you guys would really like to have for this evening?
I think that checks all the boxes, I think.
No, I think Nia's good too. She's speculating for next time for sure, though. Like, but no, good. I'm good.
Well, see, guys, you guys were able to fend off another Briar Bath, and this will apply for the rest of the group as well. You guys have another level up, so you get to ponder that as well.